The Brandon Peters Show may contain explicit language and detailed plot points. For more information on the show, stay tuned to the end of the episode. And now, here he is, Brandon.
And we come that time again to close things out with a song. Rejoining me from earlier in the week is Courage to Rise host and author, coach, and healer extraordinaire, Jennifer Wreyford.
Awesome. Excited to talk about this.
Yes. Today's music video is for Love is a Battlefield by Pat Benatar. It's the lead single from the 1983 album Live from Earth, which also featured the single Lipstick Lies. This is a live album with 2 studio tracks tacked on to the end of it. Kind of interesting. I'm not sure I know of many that did that.
Yeah.
But, of course, the 2 studio tracks are the singles from it. So you did get Hit Me With Your Best Shot with this album, just a live version. It was a single that sold over 1 million records worldwide. And it's tied with We Belong as her highest charting single in the United States. And VH1 calls it number 30 on the 100 Greatest Songs of the 1980s. And, yeah, it earned her 4th consecutive Grammy for Best Female Rock Vocal Performance. Her other ones were Crimes of Passion, Fire and Ice, and Shadows of the Night. It beat out Stevie Nicks' Stand Back, Joan Armatrading's The King, Kim Carnes' Invisible Hands, Bonnie Tyler's Faster Than the Speed of Night, and she lost the next year to Tina Turner, who would then herself go on to win 4 of these in a row. And Pat Benatar was up for 3 of those 4 years that happened.
Music is a battlefield, too.
Music is quite a battlefield. This one is directed by Bob Giraldi. He directed Michael Jackson's Beat It, Lionel Richie's Hello, Jermaine Jackson, and Pia Zadora's When the Rain Begins to Fall, which is from the classic hit film Voyage of the Rock Aliens. Have you seen Voyage of the Rock Aliens?
I have not, but I'll add that to my list.
Craig Sheffer in that movie does a song. We mentioned the program in the last one. Craig Sheffer here, he does a song, obviously lip-synced, called Nature of the Beast. I talked about it in my old show. I kind of loved this dopey musical movie with Pia Zadora, Craig Sheffer, but Jermaine Jackson and her do a song from it. He also did Hall & Oates' Obsession. He worked with Paul McCartney. He did Ricky Martin's Loaded, Will Smith's Just the Two of Us, directed the 2000 film Dinner Rush, and then the last decade he's just been making short films. So, music video, he's got his cred there. He did Michael Jackson, so
yeah,
right from there. Like some other ones. The video features Pat Benatar on a bus to who knows where, reflecting on her leaving her small town after a spat with her father. She goes to a big, scary city full of lots of muscle guys. Like this, is this L.A., I think, maybe? And it's just guys in tanks and leather pants that look like they might be going to the movie Cruising. She becomes a dancer, but I think it's more like the nice version of an escort or a brothel worker at this sleazy club. She later leads a dance revolt on the abusive owner, and all the women free themselves to an empty freeway at sunrise and go their own way. So you said you had never seen this music video
I
before.
had never seen the music video, and obviously heard the song, have it on my, well, nobody has iPods anymore, but I have it on my phone on my playlist. But I'd never seen the video. And I learned actually some really interesting, the geek in me learned some really interesting things in watching it, but I laughed out loud at a couple points in the video. So when I'm watching it and she goes into, New York City, whatever, seedy clubs, I'm like, oh, wow, is this like a metaphor for like she goes into prostitution? No, it's actually a real thing. Did you know this? Like taxi dancers?
Okay, no, I saw the term taxi dancer, but I didn't look any further.
Yeah, so it's actually really interesting. So it was a legitimate job, and I think it started in like the 1920s and 30s. That it was sort of in the same way that you go and hail a taxi for a certain period of time. Men would go to clubs and they would pay to dance with a woman for a song or multiple songs. Oh. And so it was actually a legitimate business, like a legitimate job, where obviously there were shadier sides that were of it, as with many things, it skews sometimes into other. So there were people that I think took it to other extents, but it was an actual profession that women would go and they would be taxi dancers. And I got down a rabbit hole on this. I was like, oh my God, that's so interesting. So
you want to get together and make an app for taxi dancing? You go in the app, you hit your club.
I think it's called Tinder. I'm not sure.
You find a dancer that you would like to ching.
Yeah. Yeah.
Find a dance. What style of dance? What style of dance you looking for? What's your height? Would you match up? And like, hey, let's dance. And it'd be a consensual dance, not a worker dance or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it very much feels like brothel, like it's trying to hint to more. Definitely. That's probably why the revolt happened.
Yeah.
But the way they play Pat Benatar when she's dancing with that guy is like, I'm just dead inside.
And that was my initial impression, right?
Yeah.
It was like, she's there. There's the whole thing of she gets kicked out of the house. We got daddy issues, right? Mm-hmm. And so
Daddy, who says the first dialogue ever in a music video, like no music videos didn't have lines before then. And then she weirdly sings at him. Like somebody needed to make a parody of that in some movie where they're getting kicked out. It's like, why are you singing at me? Why just go. Get out of the house.
Because the music video to me, when I listen to the lyrics of the song, I get something completely different in my head. I was like, all right. So yeah, you sing back at him, girl. You show him.
Right. For sure.
Yeah, but it was the feeling that was given of like prostitution, right? Of like being there, but being empty and just being there for the transaction of it. And that's why I ended up looking into it and I was like, oh, okay. So it was actually a real thing, but I think connotation is still there. And right. I think, to your point, then it made more sense to me of they started to revolt because then it was less of, he was more of the seedy side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And where I got the prostitution thing too was the type of attire they had kind of remind me of like an 80s up old West saloon prostitute look. Like that's what it kind of looked like to me. But no, I guess it's taxi dancing.
Yeah. So I learned something new. So
it's interesting. And the taxi dancers, they are a synchronized dance squad on the side. they got their moves together and their arms and
Yeah. I don't think it's really a thing anymore, but I think it was until like the 60s. So.
Right. Only in music videos can you fight off the evil guy with dance.
No, they fought him off with their...
Yes, shaking it.
That was the part that cracked me up. I was like, oh, that's what we're coming at him with. All right.
Yes. It's just living like this. Like this is also part of that, this is like 83, I think it was. Oh, yeah, I mentioned earlier, 83. And during like the 80s and stuff, when I was a kid, like big cities were just scary, bad. You'd go there, you'd be robbed, you'd be put into like drugs, prostitution. Like it all came from probably New York's 42nd Street. Mm-hmm. LA wasn't the greatest at times, but big cities were like these scary places to kids. Even through like kids movies, like Ninja Turtles, when that came out. I mean, your first scene's April O'Neil who works downtown, but she gets held up. Batman, Tim Burton's Batman, big city. Parents gonna get shot in the alley or mugged in the alley because his parents get shot later. That's a different couple, but it's just weird how they just wanted to like scare you from the big city. Yeah. So, like, were they overcrowded? Were they wanting less people? Was it like a tourism thing? Like, don't come here. We don't want, because I would always be intimidated when I was a kid and it took me a while. It took me like maybe when I was a teen after I graduated high school, I went to New York for a summer and just like a week and a half, but that really got me over like, oh, this isn't bad. Like, where's the scary people and all this?
Where's all the darkness and the scariness?
Yeah, and even at night, it felt almost safer. Like that was the weird thing. And I don't know. It was just interesting that dichotomy. Like Jason Takes Manhattan, Friday the 13th Part 8, which I actually have the poster of it up there. That one's funny because they take this boat, they get there, and immediately upon getting there, they get robbed. The girl gets kidnapped and she's gonna be raped, and they put drugs in her, and like no one cares. There's toxic shit all over the street. And it's like, why was this such a thing? what Hollywood writers had this horrible experience with these big cities, or maybe they didn't want other writers coming out, and they were like, "Nope."
New York City Board of Tourism is like, hold on.
Yeah, but she lives in that city. She's in this city area. It's all
And writing, I thought it was writing to her brother about her fabulous new life.
What was in those notes? What did her little brother learn? I had to dance with a man named Lyle tonight. He used the same cologne as Dad. Yeah. It's really weird. It's different to I hadn't seen this music video in a long time, but it's weird to put this song, this iconic song that you just know with this, and it's like, oh, all right, okay.
And see what I did, because this is what I do. The coach in me and the healer in me looked at it and went, oh no, okay, I can draw a connection here, right? From the video. Cause I was like, okay, well, she gets kicked out. So she's got some stuff with her father that needs to get resolved. And that always gets translated into relationships. And so obviously love is a battlefield because mama's got daddy issues.
There you go. There you go. Definitely.
Yeah.
And I love, a movie I love quite a lot, 13 Going on 30.
Uh-huh.
That's a huge song to that movie, and I associate this song with that movie a lot of the times too. And they even I gotta pop it in, but on the Blu-ray and DVD, it's a bonus feature, the actual music video for it, which is pretty great. And it's one of her most iconic songs for sure. Yeah. You still hear it today. You still like, oh yeah, here we go. Turn it up just a little
I heard it in the lobby of my condo just the other day. So
excellent.
Yeah. I can't believe I hadn't seen the video until now.
Hey, there's a first time for everything. And maybe you saw it back then, just went away from your memory.
Yeah.
The Taxi Dancing, the dance squad, choreographed by Tony and Emmy Award winner Michael Peters. I'm not related at all.
It's a little familial plug there,
and it was nominated in the first ever MTV Video Music Awards for Best Female Video. And it lost to Cyndi Lauper's Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
Oh.
But the other nominees that were there were Cyndi Lauper again for Time After Time, and Bette Midler's Beast of Burden, and Donna Summer's She Works Hard for the Money. Pat Benatar never nominated again for any VMAs. But Cyndi Lauper would go on to be just like a lot of them throughout the decade. But I was like, oh, first ever VMAs. And I was like, who's she up against? And I'm like, well, Time After Time is better than Girls Just Want to Have Fun. But I get Girls Just Want to Have Fun is the breakout.
Yeah.
Well, anything off that album is golden. And someday we will talk about Cyndi Lauper on the show. I have talked about that many times. We have done Tiffany, but we have not gone to Cyndi Lauper, Debbie Gibson. We've done Madonna. But
I did get to see Tiffany before this was, Time Has No Meaning Anymore, pre-pandemic. The mixtape tour.
Okay.
New Kids on the Block, Naughty by Nature, Tiffany, Debbie Gibson. So I got to go see that with my best friend from middle school who now lives here in Denver. So she got away from her kids long enough for us to go back to the 1980s.
Oh, excellent. That'd be a fun night.
We got to see Tiffany perform her one song. So.
No shit too. Could have been.
Yeah.
Could have been. Yes. That one's on the 80s love ballads compilations. So, excellent.
I want to know where she was headed in the bus. I have to think she was leaving the big city I think she was going off into the great blue yonder, away from home, away from the seedy city to make her way in Chicago or something. Peoria.
Got a taxi dancing connection there.
Right.
I transferred clubs.
Yeah.
She's going to go to Europe. Who knows? Okay. Well, that completes our week here on the show. Jennifer, it's been an absolute treat having you here this week. And before we head on to the weekend, please let people know where they can keep up with you or look into your services.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's been fun. So my website is just my name, JenniferWreyford.com. And I'm on Instagram as JReyAllDay, JWREYALLDAY. And my podcast is Courage to Rise. And you can go to couragetorise.com and link out to the book and the podcast and all the things.
Excellent. Awesome. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Brandon4KUHD. Written work on WhySoBlue.com. The Brandon Peters Show returns all new next week. But until then, always remember to keep the positivity in your online film chatter.
Thank you for listening. The Brandon Peters Show is a Creative Zombie Studios production. Produced by Brad Shoemaker and Brandon Peters. Written and edited by Brandon Peters. Announcer vocals by Jessica Alsman. Theme song by Metavari. Web design and show art by Brad Shoemaker with Brandon Peters. All music and clips featured in the episode are property of their respective studios and no infringement is intended. Additional information on this and other episodes at BrandonPetersShow.com. For any inquiries, press opportunities, or sponsorship, contact mail at BrandonPetersShow.com. The show is available on Apple Music, Spotify, or anywhere podcasts are found.